sign of spring in the lung-colored fields, bordered by trees as spindly as a breadline. We were past forsythia time, past when the squirrels should have been rooting around in the trees for sap. "What time is it now?" Lisbeth asked. I showed her my phone, and she swallowed the last of her burger. "I've got to go." "Already?" "Choir rehearsal." She took a gulp of coffee. Caffeine was frowned upon by the church, though not, I thought, exclusively forbidden. "I gave all the seniors solos, and they're terrified. They need help. Don't forget, noon tomorrow." The church was strange enough to whisper about. But the church had a great choir. She had learned so much. They had helped her get her job at the high school, directing the chorus. Not easy for a woman without a degree. Also, her folks loved the church. She couldn't leave, she said. "What's at noon?" I asked. She paused long enough to tilt her head at me. "Wylodine, really? Graduation? Remember? The kids are singing." "I don't want to go back there." "You promised. Take a shower if you've been working so my folks don't lose their minds." "If they haven't figured it out by now, they're never going to know," I said. But Lisbeth was already shrugging on her coat. Then she was gone, through the jangling door, long braid and layers flapping. In the parking lot, a truck refused to start, balking in the cold. I ordered hot chocolate. I was careful to take small bills from my wallet when I went back up to the counter. Most of the roll of cash from the paper bag boy was stuffed in a Pepsi can back on the floor of the truck. Lobo, who owned the truck, had never been neat, and drink cans, leaves, and empty Copenhagen tins littered the cab. Though the mud on the floor mats had hardened and caked like makeup, though Lobo and Mama had been gone a year now, I hadn't bothered cleaning out the truck. Not yet. The top of the Pepsi can was ripped partially off, and it was dry inside. Plenty of room for a wad of cash. I had pushed down the top to hide the money, avoiding the razor-sharp edge. Lobo had taught me well. I took the hot chocolate to go. In the morning, I rose early and alone, got the stove going, pulled on my boots to hike up the hill to the big house. I swept the basement room. I checked the supplies. I checked the cistern for clogs. The creek rode up the sides of the driveway. Ice floated in the water, brown as tea. No green leaves had appeared on the trees. No buds. My breath hung in the air, a web I walked through. My boots didn't sink in the mud back to my own house in the lower field. My footprints were still frozen from a year ago. Last year's walking had made ridges as stiff as craters on the moon. At the door to my tiny house, I knocked the frost from my boots and yanked them off, but kept my warm coveralls on. I lit the small stove, listening to the whoosh of the flame. The water for coffee ticked in the pot. I checked the time on the clock above the sink, a freebie from Radiator Palace. "Fuck," I said aloud to no one. Before the cold came, my mama and I used to fake lock the driveway gate, looping the chain but not fastening the padlock, so it only looked locked to outsiders, in case Lobo was late and had forgotten his keys again. If he could just push on it to get it open, instead of kicking it in, or throwing his whole body against it, or yelling so loud we would hear from the farmhouse. That would help. Some nights. He might not be as angry when he made it up the drive, frustrated at the world, looking to blame someone. But Lobo was gone. Those nights were over. I locked the gate for real and headed down the roads into town. High school graduation was a big deal. To have made it that far in this small town, little more than a holler, really, a dip between foothills, where no one would check up on you, no one would notice if you made it to class or not, and where there was always the pull of other work that would pay you.